Hey there, everybody. Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with a look at a really cool product, the Tide saltwater lamp. Now, this, in my opinion, is the absolute perfect item if you're into prepping. The kind of, I guess what I'm going to say, prepper mindset. Somebody that wants to have a product that's kind of independent, or I would say non-dependent on traditional methods that require power, that require batteries, charging, electricity. These are fantastic. So I've been playing with these a little bit right now, and this is literally a lantern. And as you take a look at it, it looks pretty standard. But if I said to you, well, what is the battery source at the end of it all? There is no battery. Here's your battery source. In fact, there's a little bit of crust in here from where I've left things off. Well, it's salt. Salt water. You literally just put salt water in this up to that line, and voila, there is light. Imagine that. And as you look at the base of the light itself, well, you can see there are metal plates. And ultimately, what we're talking about is what's known as a galvanic cell or a saltwater battery. And, some people, you'll see this referred to as a saltwater galvanic cell or electrochemical cell. And the way this works is we have two different metals in this bottom plate, inside the middle and then on the outside. And it's typically going to be like magnesium and copper. So it's possible that these plates are magnesium. Now, I don't really know. But then copper on the inside. Or potentially, and I guess it just depends, it could also be zinc and copper. So kind of depends on the manufacturer or the exact application. But what happens is the salt water is an electrolyte, and it allows ions to move between the plates. And when that happens, the chemical reaction, pretty much one of the metals oxidize, which you're seeing here, so gives off electrons. So the outside plate oxidizing and giving off electrons. And then the other metal, which on the inside, the copper, is what's called reduces or accepts the electrons. And ultimately, the electrons flow through the connected circuit and can power the light. And it's really cool. It's simple. And what is awesome about all of this, again, it is completely independent of having a true power source, like a battery or a plug. And this gives somebody like a prepper the ability to at least have some light. Now, this particular model here is 100 lumens. So this is a 100 lumen model. It depends, but they're really suggesting that you get a maximum of 10 hours of runtime by like a single sort of charge. In other words, if you make a solution of salt water, and they're looking for something along the lines of 4 to 15 grams of added salt to the solution. But they're saying around something in the odds of 10 hours of runtime. And it could theoretically go as long as 20 hours. But I'm going to show you that you can definitely do more than that. Now, this is definitely giving off, a little bit of residue. You can see here that there is some salt in here, and it's still probably eating away a little bit at the plates. And these will run out over time. You will basically chew through these, but you can change them out. And they are offered in terms of replacement parts. So you can see here, these plates, you can actually get them, and they literally pop out. So they come fully wrapped, ready to go with the connectors. And you pop these out and put in new ones, and you're good to go again. But with that, let me show you what I did, because I think you're going to find this interesting. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at the Ion Light who did provide this for review. And if you like what you see here today, do me a favor, look in the description box below where you can find links to your own ion light. Again, just really, really cool. I think you're going to enjoy this. So this light can run off pretty much anything with salt. And so you can see, taking advantage of good old ramen noodles. It's time for dinner. My daughter decided she wanted some ramen tonight, so getting it all ready. Now I have pulled a little bit of the broth aside. And so now that it's cooled down, I'm going to fill this up. Doesn't need to be all the way. You pretty much stop about 2/3 of the way up, which lands you at about that point right there. Now you don't want to shake this. You basically just install this as it is, threading the cap into place, and theoretically, ooh, that comes right on. That's a nice even glow. Back off. Yeah, that's a good amount of light. It's not crazy bright, but definitely enough to see. And so in theory, if we had a complete power outage, that is definitely enough light to really start to see what's going on. Now, I would also go as far as to say, if you had some heavy-duty tasks that you needed to complete, that's probably not enough light, but for general emergency purposes, it's actually fantastic. All off of good old ramen noodles. Now, for the sake of the argument, it is 7 p.m., and this is going to run all night. I mean, I could have easily used standard table salt and made a solution, but, I thought it was pretty cool, the idea that you could use something like broth from ramen noodles. And so, in reality, the same reaction taking place. Now, as I mentioned, I started this at 7 p.m. I'm going to just let this go, and we're going to test and see how long this will run with the standard ramen noodle solution. I have filled it up to the top of that line right there. And so depending on the actual salinity of the ramen noodle solution, that's the only thing that I can't really quote, but I'll give you kind of an average amount of salinity here and annotate below. And we'll see how this light lasts. 10:30, 3.5 hours, going strong. It's 9:30 a.m., and this has officially gone 14 hours so far. Still looks to have just about the same intensity, but we'll keep an eye on it, see how long it lasts today, and hopefully by tonight. And I do suspect I'll still have plenty of light coming out of here after 24 hours. But we'll check it around 7 o'clock tonight. It's still going, and it's definitely bright enough to get me around. I mean, it's not crazy bright, but I can see everything in my studio. I'm just using my phone to film. That's not going to pick up everything, but I mean, just getting this down on my workspace here, and certainly enough light to do what I need to do. I could write if I needed to. I could probably play a game, play some cards. 2 of these might be better than just one. To be honest, I feel like having a couple of these spread out, maybe one on each side of the table would be ideal. But seeing as though this has gone for 24 hours straight and literally shows no signs of stopping, that's pretty awesome, because I am now not at all relying on batteries. This concept is fantastic. That is a prepper's home run, in my opinion. Ew. That's gross. But yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit of chunkiness here, and I'm just carefully going to rinse all of this off And then I'm probably going to scrape it out. But that definitely worked, and it worked well. And so, all in all, yes, I used soup to charge my light. But you could use all kinds of things. In fact, you could even use cola, soda, things like that. You could even urinate in this, and it would work. Anything with salt content, now it might depend on how bright this will go and how long it will last, but you can certainly do it. And imagine that from the prepping scenario. So all in all, it's just really neat, very useful, and something I would say just makes sense to have these. Have a couple of them. I think having 4 of these would be fantastic. Just add these to your kind of, I don't mean bug out kit, because you're not really necessarily going to bug out with these, but you could have one. But certainly add these to your prepping kit and have these ready for that emergency situation where you might not have power, but you definitely need light. And so, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thank you to the people at Ion Light who did provide this for review. Take a look in the description box below. I think you would definitely enjoy having one of these. So use the links in the description box below to find your own Ion Light. And with that, guys, thank you again for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.